Hey guys, Tarke here, and today we're doing another Hollow Palm build review. This time we're doing one for Andrew, who's doing a Frenzy Raider. You might have seen Mathil's video. He sent me a couple of notes on this build, so I'll just kind of read through some of the things that he said here, and then we'll get to it. So the most recent update he sent to me was, and this is quite a good one, I didn't realize that Zeri did built-in reflect damage. No wonder I've been struggling. Yes, Zeri has reflect. Be careful about that. That will get you killed. That being said, I can die randomly if I'm not paying attention to the body explosions in Delirium. I just hit level 91 and I'm considering Master of Force. I'm also now wishing I went Slayer, but that would involve major rework. At the end of the day, I am planning on continuing to avoid all physical reflect map mods and bosses. He says that his Brutal Restraint seems to be a bit screwy, so he's added a custom jewel there. His budget's only 10 exalts, not sure what he's going to be doing differently, but he seems to be having really good drops this league round. And he's hoping to kind of cap out at like 6k-ish life. So he's currently at 5k life at level 91. Let's look at his items, look at his skill gems, look at Pee Wee Ninja for a bit. I've planned out a couple of Hollow Palm builds for people recently, but because Hollow Palm trees are so unique because they only care about dex, I kind of need to like refresh my memory on how people are rooting these trees because they look weird, but they make sense for the way they work. Again, if you don't know, Hollow Palm is Hollow Palm technique. You count as dual wielding while you're unencumbered, 60% more attack speed while you're unencumbered, 1420 added physical damage per 10 dex while you're unencumbered. So it's all about getting as much dexterity as possible and just wearing loads of dexterity stacking items. So it's all about looking through the skills. So he's running Herald of Purity, Blood Rage, Dash Second Wind, Frenzy, Fortify, Impale, Multi-Strike, Ancestral Call, Awakened, Mana Splash. Yeah. Seems about right. A Mortal Call custom which taken Pride, increased duration. Right. Okay. Obviously no weapons, no gloves. If he's using Star Conjurers as his helmet because it's got a bunch of dex, it's got some attack speed, it's got a bunch of life, a little bit of crit. Very solid helmet, yep. For his chest piece, he's got a +1 level of support gems % dexterity chest with good double res and life. Really nice chest. Obviously no gloves. He's using Garakan Flights as his boots because they give you life per 10 dex, and they have some dex. And they also have the nice immunity burning, shocked and chilled ground, which is a nice little bonus. No really meaningful boot enchant, so you could go for something better on there, but oh well. He's got a attributes % dex Ami, really nice, with a little bit of life. Yep. He's got a okay-ish ring. It's got life, res, a little bit of dex. Could have more, but it's got some. It's also got some fizz leech as mana, which he might need. I can't remember if he had mana leech on his tree. Then his other ring is no dex, sadly, but it's got the -8 mana cost, and it's got the resist he needs. So obviously he would do more damage if he had better dex on his rings. His belt, really solid, 63 dex, life, and he's got craft, strength, and dex on there. Really good. And for his jewel, he's got life, int, which he probably needs stat requirements, or what chaos rolls. Okay, so his gear's like pretty solid. We can have a quick look at what cluster jewel stuff he's doing, and then we'll have a quick look at Pee Wee Ninja just to refresh myself on how people do these trees, and then we'll kind of get into the rest of it. Okay, so for his first cluster jewel, he's got Master Fundamentals and Ironbreaker. Wait, is he not? I thought he was Impale. Okay, he's Impale, so he hasn't got deep cuts on here, so that's going to be a big DPS increase. Be fitting deep cuts in there. Okay. He's got a Feast of Flesh one there, and here he's got deep cuts and Fuel the Fight. Okay, so he has got Mana Leech here, so he doesn't need Mana Leech on his rings. Okay, so we can improve the rings a little bit. And we could double up on deep cut stuff. Let's just have a quick reminder on Pee Wee Ninja, how people are doing these trees. Pee Wee Ninja. And we're looking for Hollow Palm, and we're looking for Raiders. And it's not called Hollow Palm, it's called something from something. One with nothing. one with nothing. Okay. Let's have a look at some of these rootings, shall we? And yes, I know I can middle mouse click. Again, they like to use Mjolnir's and Repentance gloves for these stat requirements. It means they get to level more gems. If you don't know, equip a bunch of gear which gives you enough strength that you can equip the item. You then put your gems in it. You then remove the strength gear. These remain locked, so they're disabled. But you can still use them to level gems. So it's a nice way to level additional 3, 6, 10 gems. So leveling gems is a very solid way of just making currency. Is he actually using a survival instincts? Oh, you can get 5% dex as a corruption? Yo, that's pretty good. I didn't know you could actually get that as a corruption. Huh. I think we might steal that. So he's rooting normally through Ranger Start, coming through some dex. Got one cluster jewel set, so just the one cluster jewel set up there. Mana leech, okay. Pretty solid. This guy, again, rooted through the life in Ranger Start. Just the one cluster jewel set up there. Again, this guy's just using int jewels that he doesn't have access to. Using Willow Gift for the 18% increased dex. Doesn't go up to Shadow. This guy runs double clusters. Okay. The split personality jewel. This guy's going RT. Yep. I can kind of get into it. This guy is just doing the one cluster, and this guy is doing the 2 clusters. Okay, right. So basically, yes, rooting through these nodes do give you some damage. However, your life is pretty low, and it's one of those things where, sure, you can get a little bit of damage, but really you'd be better off just getting some life nodes. Yes, you miss out on 20 dex, but they're only, you know, like 1% damage nodes, and if you get this life, you then can scrimp on getting life somewhere else, you know? So I'd go for a rooting which looks slightly more like that. I'm probably going to go for just the one cluster jewel setup. I think if we cut this, you're going to come across, definitely grab Soul of Steel. Kind of like that as a rooting. Sure, these little nodes here give you the melee fizz, whereas these nodes here give you the prod damage, which gives you nothing. But you're spending an extra point traveling to it. So I'd sooner shove one in that way. Yeah. Okay, so I think I prefer, from the get-go, I think I prefer just that rooting. This node at the top is very solid because it gives you 20% damage and it gives you 10 dex. So, very, very good. I think we're just going to go for one big cluster jewel. So, one large, 2 mediums, smalls. So, anything else we would change about the routing? How good are the frenzies per point? Pretty good, obviously, because you are a raider. Are there any super obvious clusters that we're missing? So, Master of Force is chance to double damage, which is really strong. It's giving you a bunch of fizz deeps, and it's giving you a little chunk of strength. Strength equals life. Pretty good. Would be nice to fit it in, but what are we going to get for it? Let's just quickly look at this real quick. Let's load in. French team, dude! Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Went for the deck start because I'll start for points. I completely understand skipping the start. Like, skipping the start makes sense to me. However, I wouldn't skip life for it because you're chasing life elsewhere on the tree. So you could take these points instead of coming down for Revenge of the Hunted, for example. Sure, this gives you a little bit of fizz damage, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's redo these clusters, shall we? Dual large cluster. Okay. Few points as possible. We want a deep cuts. And then... what are the main ones people are going for? Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong PB ninjas. Right, so this guy went for... Force Breaker, Iron Breaker, Master the Fundamentals. Wait, what? No deep cuts? Why are these guys not... Oh, what this guy? This guy went deep cuts. Cool, this guy's smart. This guy went... That's his medium, that's his medium. That's large. These went deep cuts. Yeah, that guy's smart. We like that one. This guy went... this guy went no large, only mediums. This guy went large. No... Okay, so you're going deep cuts. Right, like you can roll deep cuts yourself with alterations. Like, it's much easier to roll these yourself rather than buying them. I would roll these yourself. So really all you need is deep cuts, 2 dual sockets, and then the second mod doesn't really matter. Like, anything you get, great. If you get Fuel the Fight with some attack speed, some mana leech, some whatever, great, but he had mana leech on one of his rings. This one had it, so he doesn't need the mana leech there. So really all he needs is just deep cuts, 2 jewels, anything else. Anything else. Because any one of these mods are decent, really. Well, not Calamitous, but Devastator gives him some damage. That's fine. Drive the Destruction gives him some leech, just whatever, but it's fine. Fuel the Fight would be ideal. Feed the Fury would be fine. Gives him some damage, gives him attack speed. Basically... Heavy Hitter would be fine. Like, just deep cuts and anything. So let's say that you literally just got deep cuts and just the dual socket. That'd be whatever. Yeah. You've got a lot of options. But Martial Prowess would be... What? Oh, I sorry. Martial Prowess I like, because it gives you the attack speed. So I'd probably go for that. If I was picking, I'd go like deep cuts, Martial Prowess, dual sockets, but... I had too many passives on that, sorry. Whoops, 8. So let's replace that with the one that I just crafted. And replace that with that one. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Right. Solid. Now... what skill? He's using Frenzies, so because he's using Frenzy, he doesn't necessarily need the mediums. The good mediums, if you're going stuff like Cyclone, would be Rapid Infusion. There's some really good channeling stuff. Mediums for Frenzy, not so much. So I don't necessarily mind the skipping mediums completely, but getting the deep cuts would be the main big thing. So let's say that you went for that. When you take the Hollow Palm, and you go for the Fettle, fine. I would go for a 3-point... If you're going to take Fettle, go for a 3-point Fettle. Because you want the extra life nodes. So, let's save that and make a small life. 3 passives. Fettle. You can roll these with fossils. This is a good way of, getting flat life on top. You can also roll decks on these, so your ideal one would have like decks or all attributes or whatever. So it's another reason why going for more points is worth. So let's say that you just went for like tier 2 decks, or even if you didn't have life, let's just say that we just went for Fettle with tier 2 decks, right? That's not ridiculous to go for, or all attributes. And now I need to clip it in. That way you're gaining damage and you're getting a nice chunk of life. So now that's put it up to 5.8k life with a 92 tree. Let's plan it out to 95. So we've got an extra 3 points that we can play with. Where are we going to shove these extra 3? I mean, those extra 3 points we could shove into Masterful Force, which would be a nice chunk of damage. Also a little bit of strength. Is there any really obvious defensive things we could go for? Why is he going for the endurance charge? Oh, he's going for the endurance charge because he's got something good on his Brid or Restraint. That's why. Okay. I was going to say I'd be tempted to root out of the decks here, but it's hitting Dervish. That's fine. Could take Resourcefulness. For 2 points, 5% life. It's okay. Could just fill in these 2 life nodes. Could also do attack speed life. If it were me, I would do that, and be like capped out, and be like, okay, I'm happy. That's how I would kind of go. And I would probably go for like a medium into a small or something. But I think you should definitely take those 2 points for the low. What mediums would be good in this build? So he's getting... He doesn't have curse on hit on either of his rings. Well, how's he cursing again? Oh, he just isn't cursing. Okay, so if he had a curse on hit ring, that would be a big DPS increase. And then he could look into a curse medium jewel. Other good jewels, which people don't use very often, but are very strong, are the flask duration jewels. These can be particularly good, like, while bossing, especially. So the main ones which really stand out, there's Mentor's Wellspring, which gives extra life flask generation and remove bleeding when you use a life flask, which frees up a mod on your flask, which can be very nice. You can go for Peak Vigor for an extra 8% life and more life recovery. So if you do Mentor's Wellspring plus Peak Vigor, that is an extra 55% life recovery from flasks. And then you also do have Herbalism on there, so that's a lot. Cheers to the Twitch Prime, dude. A lot of extra recovery right there. So that's a option you can go for. And again, keep in mind that you can also roll like Dexterity and all attributes and stuff on your small nodes. So that could be something that you could maybe consider with a dual socket. Otherwise, you could go for... Again, the curse effect stuff we talked about. And for the curse ones, you've got a couple of interesting options. There are ones which just do like increased damage. Not that one. Enemies you cast are intimidated. If you don't have intimidation somewhere in your build, it's a nice source of it. Enemies you cast take 5% increased damage, 5% chance to dodge attacks from cast enemies. So you could go Evil Eye and Master of Fear. So that's a very easy, just 50% more damage just added into the build right there. Victim Maker, Forbidden Worlds, nope. Whispers of Death, nope. Wish for Death. Having the Cull against cursed enemies is pretty decent. But I'd go for Master of Fear and Evil Eye, so that'd be another option you could go for. Otherwise, you don't need the area damage. Don't you have a Herald? I mean, you could go for that and get some fizz damage reduction based on isn't there one which is like fizz reduction per Herald of Purity you have or something? Not doing all the Herald stuff. Well, maybe that's the minion ones. I think that's the minion Herald one I'm thinking of. Minion damage when we have a Herald. Disciples, 1% physical damage reduction per someone's Sentinel of Purity. It's a bit of a meme, but it's something you could do. I probably wouldn't though. I'd probably just go for... If I was going to run a medium, I'd probably go for a curse one if I had a curse ring, or I'd go for a life recovery. Mender's Wellspring Peak Vigor thing. That's probably what I would go for. You're running an Enduring Eternal Mana Flask. Do you really need an Enduring Mana Flask when you've got so much... Oh, I guess you attack so quickly. What's your mana cost? 15. Oh god, I never realized Friends had such a high mana cost. So what's the most you could get that down to? If you used a -15 chess piece and then -9, 9, 18, 27, 37, 42. Oof. It would still have a pretty high mana. Yeah, that's pretty rough. Okay, you kind of need the enduring ton of manas. You're so starved on links. That's one of the big things that you take away from these trees. See if anyone's doing anything interesting with their links. Running cry. Yo, you can also do the Warcry stuff. The Warcry stuff is really strong if you're doing the Warcry mediums, which this guy isn't. Is he? Yes. No. Yeah, he has one Warcry mediums. You could maybe look into unset rings. Looking into unset rings could be an option, I would say. It's difficult fitting in the resists with this build, because obviously you're so starved on resists, but you need things that you need. You need a Dread Banner, you need a Pride, you need the Herald of Purity. I would say if you could somehow make it work, look into unset rings. It feels bad running unset rings these days. But if there was ever a build that needed it, a build that's missing out on 10 sockets is the one. So you'd go for maximum life, like you want at least 60 life really. And then is it Warlords for the curse on hit ring for this build? Is it Warlords that has vulnerability? And then is vulnerability the best curse this build? Yeah. You want a vulnerability ring, and then you want dex. You need like the tier 1 dex. Yeah, you're not crits, you don't need the assassin's mark. And then any missing resists, any strength stats, whatever. So looking for one of those. Vulnerability is still decent. It's I'll show you. I don't know why I did it this way. Vulnerability, increased physical damage taken. Yeah, curse enemies take 30% increased physical damage, so that's good. Increased physical damage taken is good. So you'd go for probably one unset ring with that, and then for the other unset ring, you could go for life 60s, like the minimum. Looking for that big boy dex, and then let's have a look at the old PV Ninja. Are there any really nice stats you can get on rings? Let's see, Shaper, nothing like great there. Elder, increased melee damage, chance to evade attacks. Yeah. Crusader, nothing like great. Redeemer. Nah. Hunter. Yeah. You can also get increased melee damage with the Warlords, going for the Bun Ring. Is there anything? Go for some incursion stuff. Yeah, so with Warlords, it'd be like going for the melee damage vulnerability. So I guess you'd just go for double Warlord rings. So it's got that melee damage scaling. Can also get melee damage on Elder. You could go for the reduced reflect, since you mentioned it. If you wanted to, you could go double Elder ring for the reduced reflect, but it's a bit wasteful. I mean, if you never want to roll over reflect maps, it's a way to do it. Yeah. Oh, you want dex and all attributes. Preferably, you then have a third suffix open to then craft strength and. God, the resists are so starved on these builds. You want unsets so that you can run the gems because you're so starved for sockets. Then you'll see where. Oh, how the hell do you get the resist in these builds? Oh, these are rough. You can do stuff to cheese 100% uptime with endurance charges because endurance charges give you resists. Yeah, it feels bad missing the resist on the rings. Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to get away with the unsets. Oh. See if there might be something sneaky one of these guys was running. Maybe they've come up with something that we don't know about. Wild Rap and Brisk Rap are also good because they have the increased dex, and you're missing out even more life. Yeah, these builds are awkward. Also, Cyclopean Coil is great. If I can't remember if I already put Cyclopean Coil into this build. I put Cyclopean Coil into the last build I looked at, but I can't remember if I shoved one in this one. Did I shove one in this one? I didn't. Oh, Cyclopean Coil is great. If you can fit it in. What did you have on your belt? Oh, your belt just had a lot of dex anyway. Yeah, it's fine actually. Yeah. Okay, things that you can do is you could you could try rolling your if you could say screw it, you've got enough damage, screw martial prowess or anything, roll your clusters, just be like deep cuts plus resists and a jewel. I recently did that on a jewel for this character in SSF. Where is it? Yeah. So Tempered Arrowheads is really good on the bow ones, but there's not really another good one aside from Broadside, which gave 25 AoE. So I hit Tempered Arrowheads Chaos Red's Jewel and thought, sod it, I'll keep it for now, so whatever. Yeah, maybe you could do something like that, which is like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to go deep cuts, 2 jewels, and then a decent... The passives are giving me Chaos Res, or Attributes, or All Res, or anything like that. Because it also saves you a couple of skill points. Because it saves you having to take the extra points here. So maybe that's the way. So if you have, like, just deep cuts, and then resist or something on the suffix, potentially. So either just resists or dex or whatever. Yeah, isn't there Master Fundamentals, which gives some all res, right? Yeah, I had that on my bleed character. Physical damage. What's the fundamentals? Minus 35 LE damage. He doesn't use LE damage. It's pure fizz. But it doesn't give deep cuts, annoyingly. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's the way. It's just getting attack damage with the all res and getting just the deep cuts. And then running like all res on your Fettle instead of the dex. Like, sure, you miss out on a little bit of dexterity, but you just need the resistances. I think that's the super secret strat, is doing it that way. And then yeah, you can get all attributes on a hunter belt, isn't it? Belt. Hunter. Attributes. Dex. Like what? Oh, you have to use essences to get the dexterity on there. Okay, well, you can get essences on there. This is the bit where my dyslexia kicks in, and I've forgotten how to spell dexterity. Dexterity. Anyway, you take your current belt and get the hunter mod on there. Yeah. Yeah. Dexterity. It's hard. It's a hard tree. I think the problem is because you're a raider, you need the frenzy charges. If you weren't a raider, then you could cut 6 skill points, and then those 6 skill points would just like a whole new world of whatever, however that song goes. I really don't like frenzy charges in modern day PoE, like taking them on the skill tree. The skill points are too valuable. At some point, I'm gonna make a Hollow Palm character, and I think I would probably just do it as a champion, because then you get arena challenge. No, that's a Glad Tarke. I do it on a champion just for Master of Metal, medal it up, and then just be like, come out the start here, cut those 6 points as Pez. I think that's probably the tree though. I think the tree is pretty solid. Is there anything else we could really recommend? Yeah, if you can get Megalomania, if you can get a split personality, that's great. Otherwise, I guess if you want to cut some points, for 3 points you can take Bloodletting for 5% damage reduction, and you can also take Silent Steps for damage reduction. 5% damage reduction many times better than 4% life nodes. I know, I like it. I think the build's pretty set. I don't necessarily think I would change anything too obvious. The gear, the fact you're so restricted by the gear is one of the most interesting things about the build, because it's so hard to balance because everything matters so much. Yeah, it's awkward. You have some nice gear though, like your chest piece is disgusting with the plus support gems, the dex, the life. The plus support gems isn't too impactful. I guess it's nice for your woke stuff. But it's not crazy impactful for these links. It's not like you're running like chance to bleed or anything, which is getting the flat damage, but it's nice for any woke gems you run. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm kind of capped out on that. Could maybe have a quick look to see if anyone in hardcore is doing anything cool with it. Maybe we might have some cool ideas that way. Alright, let's look at 5.4k life in hardcore. That's a yikers. He's shoved a brutal restraint into the build. Same spot there. Flesh and Stone Maim, Enduring Cry, Dash. Yeah, kind of like that. Dread Banner Pride. Ancestral Warchief Blood Rage. He's just leveling a bunch of Dread Banners. He's doing the wand thing. The main thing what I would say is, yeah, get a bunch of high int gear. The tree's pretty much the same. Takes Master Fundamentals, doesn't take that life cluster. Takes Survivalist for 2 points. Takes Cloth and Chain. Don't blame him. To be honest, like taking Survivalist is a really good 2-pointer. It gives you flat chance to evade. Flat chance to evade gets scaled really well by the more chance to evade in here. And it gives you some max res. So for 2 points you're getting 11 all res, you're getting a bunch of evasion, getting some chance to evade, gives you 1 max cold. I'd strongly consider, I'd probably actually take it over, I don't know, maybe those 2 life nodes. I think if I was to cap it, the build at 96, I think that's probably what I would do. TLDR, I like it. I like what you've done with it. I like how I sounded like I was complimenting. I love what you've done with the curtains. Great drapes. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. You've gotten it. They're hard to tweak. There's not much you can do, really. Maybe try unset rings you can fit the resist in. Try and get a vulnerability on hit ring. That will give you a nice little chunk of damage. But yeah, basically spot on. Anyway, I'm Tarke. Get deep cuts on a duel. Have a good day. Bye-bye.